Hi, it's the Irish Gypsy here to bring you your October 2017 general readings. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Welcome to any newcomers. I am back in my more or less home base in the States in California after bouncing around Europe for a few months. It's good to be back. Thank you always to those of you who continue to watch, listen, and follow my YouTube channel regardless of where I'm at. Thanks to the internet today, I continue to post and work from whatever corner of the globe I happen to be exploring at the time. So thank you for continuing to follow and subscribe and listen. Your support and feedback and comments always mean a lot to me, so please keep them coming. And thank you to those of you who continue to keep me so busy with personal readings, and to my regular clients as well. And if any of you are interested in a personal one-on-one reading with me, you haven't read with me before, you can go to my YouTube channel's homepage. I know YouTube's changed their format a bit again, but you should still be able to go to my homepage and click on the About or Description button for more information, and my email address, which is Maggie1McGuire@gmail.com. I would be delighted to work with you. I do readings full-time, 5 to 6 days a week. It is what I do. So turnaround time is anywhere from 1 to 3 weeks, but almost always within that period of time we can schedule a reading for you live or recorded. And I can usually get back with you within 24 hours of your initial contact. So if you're interested, send me an email. We'll set something up for you. I do a wide variety of readings, love and romance, of course, compatibility charting for relationships, career, work, and finance, career overviews, and I also do 6 and 12-month career overviews and life overviews as well, in addition to channeled messages from loved ones and cleansings. All right, make sure to check your rising and your moon sign videos as well, as we always suggest, because this is general readings. There's so many of you watching, thousands of you watching, so of course they're not going to mean the same to the same degree and intensity for everybody watching. Your rising and your moon sign videos are helpful to watch if you know them and if you can, because they can give you additional insight and clarity into what's going on in your life, or one of them may resonate more particularly than others at some time, so try to do that if you can. So moving right along, this reading is for the fire sign of Aries. Aries the ram, our restless ones, the babies of the zodiac, fire sign of Aries. What does October 2017 have in store for our lovely rams, Aries? Okay, Aries, we have justice, followed by the devil, judgment, followed by the fool, the 9 of swords, followed by the 9 of wands, and the 2 of cups, followed by the 8 of cups. And from the bottom of the deck, your overall energy is the high priestess. Looks like this is going to be a pretty important month for a lot of you, Aries. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 major arcana cards out of 9, including your crowning card from the bottom of the deck. So looks like a pretty impactful, a pretty important month, even if, and it looks like it's kind of trying to make a pretty significant, important decision, trying to figure out what's the right thing to do within a relationship for the majority of you. Now, of course, this may not, and under that umbrella, it looks and feels very much like a love romance relationship, with that 2 of cups being the soulmate card, although it does fundamentally represent a union, which could be a work situation as well. But I always have to stick with what I'm feeling the most, and so for the majority of you, I feel like this is a relationship, to do with a relationship or a union of some kind, and a pretty significant one as well. The specifics and details of how this plays out in your life, of course, is going to vary depending on who's watching, but the energy fundamentally remains the same, as I always say. So we begin with justice and the devil. So justice is the reap what you sow card. This is also the card that says what you put into something is going to really reflect what you get out of it. So the cautionary advice with justice, and it's sitting right next to judgment too, is always, try and operate from as much transparency as possible, holding to as much personal honor and integrity as possible, because that's going to be reflected in the outcome. sitting right next to Judgment, which is a similar sort of energy. Be careful about what you say or do. We don't want to make any spontaneous or impulsive decisions, particularly significant life-changing decisions through the month of October. It looks like the month is more about kind of trying to figure out what the right thing is to do and proceeding ahead with that as well. In the upright position, it can also represent contracts, negotiations, legal issues working out in your favor, or the strong potential for them to work in your favor. Now, it's accompanied by the Devil card, which is a card of imbalance, significant, profound imbalance. It can represent addictions, conventional addictions like alcohol, drugs, sex, gambling, shopping, etc. It can represent very strong temptations, our excesses, our vices, unhealthy relationships, too much power and control issues, too much neediness. Basically, imbalance, the scales being out of whack, too much attention to detail put in one area to the detriment and exclusion of others. Paired with Justice, some of you, if this is a legal issue that you're dealing with, particularly a legal issue around a relationship, you know, maybe whether it's a divorce issue perhaps or custody issue. I feel like in the end, although there's a lot of up and down energy, balance and harmony will be restored, or at the very least, the outcome is going to be fair and equitable. It may not be exactly what you want, but it's going to be fair and equitable in terms of karmic energy. For the majority of you, the others of you, I mean, in looking out at the rest of the reading, it looks like you've experienced a setback or something's happened recently that's negative or challenging for you. You're really stressed out about it, and you're trying to figure out what the best thing to do. What's the best thing to do here? You want to do the best thing. And Justice and the Devil for a lot of you is going to mean, particularly in the beginning of the month, I am recording these at the end of September. The end of September, maybe the beginning of October, you're not quite sure what the right thing is to do. You want to do the right thing, but you're not yet quite sure what the right thing is to do. So you're just kind of spending time thinking about that. Now, next to that, we have Judgment and the Fool. Again, I'm feeling cautionary advice on this combination of major arcana cards. Judgment is similar to Justice. It is a call to action, meaning something needs to be done. You need to make a decision here. A course of action needs to be decided upon. But a careful consideration of everything involved, because Judgment has an air of finality about it too, meaning that whatever your decision is, whatever your choice is, whatever you set into motion, you're not going to be able to come back from. It's going to set the stage for something for quite some time to come. So knowing that, be very careful not to make any rash, hasty, impulsive, spontaneous decisions. Want to carefully consider all the pros and cons, weigh out what your options are, weigh out what the consequences of each course of action might be before you actually set your path, because you won't be able to kind of reverse this one. So make sure before you do something, you are really sure it's what you want to do and that you feel it's the right thing to do. Now, Judgment is accompanied by the Fool, my favorite card in the tarot deck. The Fool is in some ways about endings and beginnings, but it's about actually the possibility and potential, that time and space, that energy in between something coming to an end and before something new begins. So it's about considering the possibilities and potentials, which in that space are kind of infinite. Considering the possibilities and potentials, it's about new beginnings, the breath before the first step of a new journey, and considering what the possibilities are. Again, whatever this issue is, it's can I take it in a new direction? Do I need to start all over again? Do I need to leave and start all over again? The Fool is also here to remind us to take a risk, to step off the well-trodden path, maybe do something in a way that you haven't done before. So, and I'm actually feeling that quite strongly for a lot of you. I feel like for a lot of you, you may be tempted to, maybe historically you would have approached a situation like this in a certain way. And I feel like maybe you should consider doing it a different way. For those of you for whom that resonates, doing it in a different way. And that may mean actually taking maybe a leap of faith, doing something that may feel a little risky. in order to achieve different results and more positive results and possibly a new beginning. So keep that in mind when you're considering what to do and what the best thing to do is in regards to this situation, this relationship. Now, next to that, we have the Nine of Swords, followed by the Nine of Wands. So around the middle, maybe the third week of October, time being somewhat fluid and not always so specific, it looks like you may fall into a bit of worry, stress, anxiety, maybe quite a bit. So, I mean, forewarned is forearmed. That's why we do these readings, so we can kind of get a glimpse ahead. Be vigilant against this energy, because the Nine of Swords is a card of a lot of stress, anxiety, worry, but it's unnecessary. Not that the cause of your concern is not valid, but the Nine of Swords usually shows up when you're building something up in your head and in your heart to be bigger and much worse than is actually reflected in the reality of what the situation is. And the owl here, everything on a tarot card is symbolic. You could spend 25 hours just talking about one tarot card, if not more. Owls are one of the universal symbols of wisdom, insight, clarity, truth. So the fact that this owl is very close to this woman represents that there's probably a solution inside, a bit of wisdom, clarity, something that she's not seeing, which could be helpful to her, is very close by. It could be just right in front of her, but she's not looking at it because she's only focused on the fear, the anxiety, the negative emotions of it. She's not really thinking all that rationally or clearly, or looking at it going, okay, what's the situation? What are my options? And maybe even asking for clarity and wisdom as well. She's just completely focused only on the negative aspects of it, rather than kind of looking at it on a more practical level and trying to actually find a solution or a path. So be vigilant against that energy, because it's unnecessary. It's too much. It doesn't fit, the reality of the situation. Now, it's paired with the Nine of Wands, which is a card that can represent a temporary setback, but it's one of those, it's a card that represents, it's darkest before the dawn. Don't give up now. Keep pushing forward. The Nine of Wands, this grouping, this man is a soldier. He's been through a number of battles already. In other tarot decks, he's sometimes depicted as standing upright with his staff, and he's got a bandage around his head. He's been through a number of battles. He's tired. He's worn out. He wants to get home, but he's still going. He's still there. He hasn't given up yet. And the tarot tends to represent the end of a cycle, completion. So the Nine of Wands represents being very close to the end, very close to the end of the journey, or at the part where you transition into something else. The grouping of wands behind him represents an obstacle, a temporary kind of thing that's cropped up, maybe unexpected, something that happened unexpectedly. You weren't expecting it. You're kind of surprised by it. This is about taking a step back, not a full-blown runaway retreat, just a little withdrawal to kind of get a different perspective, take a look at it, figure out, what is this about? Can I get through this, under it, around it, etc.? But not giving up, not running away, pushing forward. And sitting right next to the Fool, too. Again, I'm feeling quite strongly that in a situation, whatever the situation is, whether it's with your, soulmate, love, romance partner, or a different relationship of another kind, or maybe it's even in the work, career area of your life, it looks like something's come up that you weren't expecting, and you're allowing yourself to get too caught up in negativity and stress instead of actually really looking at it, getting a different perspective on it, trying not to let your emotions rule you here, and finding the solution. And also, it could be that historically in a situation like this, or similar situations, or just in where something's come up, historically you may have had a pattern of, I can't deal with this, and going away, moving on to something else. I really feel like for those of you for whom this resonates, particularly in relationships, the universe is asking you to do something different, to take a look at it. Can we move beyond this? Maybe I should step out of my pattern and do something different so I can get different results. For those of you for whom this is a love and romance situation, I mean, unless it's really unhealthy and not a good relationship for you, I feel like this is something that you can move through. There's a way through this, and you may want to do that instead of maybe doing what you might have done in the past, which is to just throw your hands up and say, bag it. Now, at or towards the end of the month, we have the energy of the Two of Cups, followed by the Eight of Cups. So the Two of Cups is traditionally considered the soulmate card. kindred spirit card. For relationships, this is a meeting of the mind, the heart, the soul, the spirit. This is more than just physical and chemical attraction. You can apply the same energy to other areas of your life. Fundamentally, the Two of Cups on an energetic level represents the coming together, the union of two things, two places, two entities, two people. It could even be two businesses in a way that's beautiful and a great fit on more than just obvious levels. Like if you pull this card in like a job spread or something like that, you're looking at a job, this would represent the perfect job, you coming together with a perfect job, not just in dollars and cents, the perfect job for you, not just in dollars and cents, but you don't have to pay for parking, there isn't a long commute, you like your work, you like your coworkers, you like the area, etc. So it's a coming together, a union that's really good. I say that because I'm feeling this is more of a relationship reading than anything else for those of you watching. That may or may not resonate for you. It could also be within a work situation like your job or your career path as well. And if none of that resonates for you, then watch your rising and your moon sign videos. So there's a soulmate, this important union, this important connection, this important relationship, Two of Cups. At the end of the month, we also have it paired with the Eight of Cups. This is the walking away card. Cups is water energy, so this suit is about the emotional feeling relationship area of our life. Swords is air, it's mental. Wands is fire, it's about action, moving, change. I usually describe that more in my other readings, but I just kind of blew through this one. So the Eight of Cups is the walking away card. It speaks of walking away because of disappointment, disillusionment, dissatisfaction. Maybe something has turned out differently than what you thought it would turn out, or that it's turned out to be something different or someone different than what you originally thought. It's a question of having tried, explored, tasted, and just at the end of the day, it's really not your joy and fulfillment. So you've made a decision to turn your back, walk away, even if you may not know necessarily what direction you're going in. And so paired with the Two of Cups, again, it's about whether or not to walk away, whether or not to leave something behind because it's not what you thought it was. For some of you, you will make the decision to walk away. Or this could be, the other person. For some of you, it's consideration energy, more reflective. Do I walk away or not? Do I leave this behind? Is there a way we can get through this? Is there a way to make it better? I do feel a pretty strong advice to, as long as it's not, a completely unhealthy, and you would know what I'm talking about. Those of you who are watching for whom this relates, that you may want to explore doing something different if your habit has been when you hit difficulties to just kind of give up on them. So for some of you, it's going to be just reflection, consideration, which I'm feeling, again, strong advice that you need to spend, regardless of how the specifics relate in your life. Fundamentally, the overall advice is be careful about how you approach this. Consider everything before you make any final decisions or set anything into motion, because whatever you decide, if you decide to stay and work it through, if you decide to leave or walk away, you're going to be kind of locked into that. I'm meaning that it's going to set the stage for quite some time. So just carefully consider before you do anything final or set your path. But trust in your instincts and intuition too, and pay attention to what might be spiritual advice, insight, clarity, dreams, because your overall energy and advice is the High Priestess, which is about deep spirituality, your intuition, which is your connection to the divine, paying attention to flashes of insight or sudden thoughts you might have, or wisdom on this, any ideas, explore those that may just come up. It may be messages trying to get through to you. Pay attention to any dreams you may have about this, and above all, your gut instinct, your intuition, which is kind of the cable by which you get messages from God's Spirit, your angels and guides overall. So it looks like a pretty important, impactful month. I don't feel like for a lot of you, major decisions and specific action will be taken until at least the end of the month, maybe likely not until November. And definitely the advice is to not make any snap decisions or life-changing decisions without carefully considering everything, Aries. So Aries, that pretty much wraps up your October 2017 general readings. I hope that it has given you a little bit of insight, food for thought at least. Again, if any of you are interested in a personal one-on-one reading with me, you can go to my YouTube channel's homepage, click on the About or Description button for my little more information and my email address, which is Maggie, the number one McGuire at gmail.com. I would be most happy to work with you. I will see you all again in a couple of weeks for the October 2017 mid-month readings. And until then, as always, Aries, I wish you joy, peace, love, and a happy, happy life. Thanks so much, and I hope to see you back here again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.